Welcome to the Pharmacy Residency podcast. I just wanted to talk briefly about what happens if you fail the NAPLEX. So, obviously, the first thing is that I know it's like a Friday and you got the weekend. The first thing you want to do is kind of get all the information you can about the Board of Pharmacy contacts you'll have to contact on Monday, and then the NABP on Monday. So I can help you with NABP, but I don't know what state you're in. But I know what state of mind you're in, but I don't know what state you're in. And let me first read this to you. After a failed attempt, you must wait 45 days to next attempt the NAPLEX. Some exceptions may apply, as NABP member boards retain the authority to determine the number of attempts per candidate in their jurisdiction. Contact customer service. The customer service site is here. And they've got a bunch of different ways, but remember, emails, they'll get back to you in 48 hours. So maybe a call would be better, or a live web chat would be a bit quicker. So in terms of what's happening with the waiting period, I'll save you some trouble. This is the NAPLEX MPJE Bulletin, March 2019, and I'm just going to go to that PDF page that you need to be at. So the NAPLEX waiting period is 45 days between a failed attempt on the NAPLEX and the next scheduled appointment to test. Some jurisdictions have a waiting period stated in rules or regulations that exceeds the NAPLEX 45-day waiting period. Candidates shall be required to comply with the jurisdiction's stated waiting period in such cases. So that's why the Board of Pharmacy is your first call. Some of you may be going to different states. Some of you are in unfamiliar states. You need to know what their rule is. Now, it may just be that 45 again, which is fine. Well, not fine, but you understand what I'm saying. And the big question is the 45 days between when you can contact them to try again or the next scheduled appointment to test? And it seems like it's the appointment. Now, the thing is that boards of pharmacy are still processing ATTs for some people who are just graduating. So I don't know if you get to the front of the line because you're like, look, I already took it and I need to get this. I now have this limited window. And if you're in residency, this becomes doubly troublesome because now if you're the only one, obviously there's nothing they can do. You're the one and that you need to pass. But if you have multiple residents there, you may want to start talking to, you certainly want to talk to your RPD and then start talking to the other residents about what you can do, because you might have been scheduled for some hours in outpatient, or you might have been scheduled to work as a pharmacist with the expectation that you were going to pass. So you have to have that conversation with the RPD and kind of say, hey, this happened, this is my score, this is what I think happened, and this is what went wrong. But the big problem you have is you are in a residency, and now on top of residency, you have to study for the NAPLEX under the pressure that you really need to pass this time. And the good thing is, and I want to give you the good news first, is that you were probably pretty close, probably like a 70, 72, 73, and just a couple of points off. So you had prepared in such a way that you were pretty close, but unfortunately didn't quite get there. So now it's, how do you fit in additional studying? If you were clear on those areas that you were missing, then you certainly want to shore those up. But the thing is that you can't go to your residency and bring your RX prep book and have that out while you're trying to take breaks or lunches or whatever. It's just a terrible way to try to study anyway. So especially if you have a commute, and I remember talking to someone who I think had an hour and a half commute each way, and I would definitely go audio. So I still have very few, but a couple of free codes left for like Thrill of the Case and Pharmacotherapy. These are the closest to NAPLEX and BCPS. If you really want to get things straight in your head, I recommend memorizing pharmacology and memorizing pharmacology mnemonics. And these are all at memorizingpharm.com/free book codes. But it's a little bit of a pain because you have to be logged into Amazon UK. Those are the only codes I have left. There is still I don't want to call it a hack. It's just something that Amazon gives you. But you can, if you've never been on Audible, go through the Amazon platform, not the Audible platform, because they give you 2 free audiobooks. So if you have a general need to review, start with Memorizing Pharmacology. You get the top 200 down. Go to Memorizing Pharmacology Mnemonics. That's up to 450 drugs. And that's 15 hours of audio. So you should be able to fit that in. Then, after you've got the drugs down, then you go to Pharmacotherapy, Clinical Pharmacy Pearls, Case Studies, and Common Sense, and then on to The Thrill of the Case. So that's 30 hours of audio of pharmacology and pharmacotherapy. And remember, you just need to get an extra couple points. You're not studying for the NAPLEX for the first time. It's fresh in your mind. And you're getting a ton of cases while you're in your residency right now. Now, those will give you the foundation for the 7 core competencies. And I know RX Prep doesn't set it up this way, but you want to get things straight in your head, quite literally. And I always put them in the same order: gastrointestinal, musculoskeletal, respiratory, immune, neuropsych, cardio, and endocrine. That's exactly how I always order all of the medications, and the way that we've ordered those medications in these audio books. So that as soon as you see a NAPLEX question, or if you're studying for BCPS, immediately you're like, okay, this is how I'm going to sort them, and immediately they sort in your brain. Or I know it's on scratch paper, I would put, little markings like, okay, this is cardio, this is endocrine. Whoa, why do we have 2 pril endings? We have 2 ACE inhibitors. That's going to be a red flag, and so forth. Everything goes really fast. Then I recommend getting all of those other ones, and kind of, instead of prioritizing as if you're going to retake the NAPLEX for the very first time, you're like, okay, what did I really struggle with? What I would do is go to Core Consult RX on SoundCloud, and these are really entertaining. In terms of the way that they talk about the medications and things like that. And when you go back to each chapter, figure out, okay, well, what Core Consult episode was the one that I need to listen to that has to do with this particular case or this particular pathophysiologic state. Then go to Helix Talk. What particular case do I have to listen to? And then, are there any drugs on the reallifepharmacology.com podcast that I need to know for those? So you can get 30 hours of pharmacology and pharmacotherapy. You can get the podcast episodes, all of that, probably for free if you do it right with the free codes and everything. And, you're going to be in kind of a mental state of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Well, let me remind you that 1,500 people each year fail theirs. And you're like, but all the residents that are around me, they all pass. They're all better than me. I didn't deserve to do a residency. Why am I here? All of this stuff. Look, you've had a setback. Get it straight with your RPD. Get your residents on board with you. As you're going through your rounds, as you're starting your first rotation, start thinking, okay, now I really am going to get this kind of practice. Now I can see it. It's even going to be more tangible when I get to my next one. The best position you can be in to study for the NAPLEX is to actually be doing things as a resident, as you're working in there. Now, I know you're still at an intern rather than a pharmacist, but again, it's a great way to actually see what's going on. And I just can't imagine that if you're in the residency, that you're listening to 30 hours of pharmacology and pharmacotherapy, and then adding Core Consult, Helix Talk, and the Real Life Pharmacology podcast, that with those audio and then going back to RX Prep, that you can't get another 5 points, 10 points, or whatever it is. Again, make clear, look, I just fumbled on X number of questions. Maybe the ones I knew were the ones that aren't the real questions and so forth. Don't make any excuses. Just say, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to take care of this. And give the confidence to the RPD. Okay, look, I've got this. And then ask for their help. Just say, hey, what would you recommend you do if you're in my situation as well? Because it's not the first time that they've seen or talked to someone who's failed it. They've probably had this happen before. And Now it's just a matter of getting this timetable on an Excel sheet on some kind of plan so that you can succeed. So best of luck to you. If you have questions, always Tony Farm D1 on Facebook. But otherwise, good luck on your second try on the NAPLEX. I know you'll do great.